Hey guys, welcome back to Path to Profit. Today, we're going to be tackling something that a lot of people are whispering about, but not really saying out loud. Why are so many boutique owners quitting? It feels like everybody's quitting. I've even had people approach me and say that they thought I quit. Somebody told me that they completely deleted my app from their phone because they thought I had went out of business. Meanwhile, I was just rebranding in the background, still working on it, but it's coming in due time. But outside of that, so many boutique owners are quitting. I've seen, some people who I look up to. I've seen, people who had a great run during the pandemic and now they're like, I'm done. It's happening. So I'm sure you've noticed it. Some of your favorite boutique owners have closed shop. Maybe they're on a break. They've taken a hiatus. They're going to come back at some point. Others are completely and utterly struggling to keep up. It's really easy to think that the boutique industry is dying. I know that that's what you're thinking. You're thinking, like, is it even worth it for me to stick around and keep spending this money, hoping for the best? Let me tell you right now, the boutique industry is not dying, okay? It is alive and it is well. I talk to people every single day who are making tens of thousands of dollars a month, sometimes a week, sometimes a day. I talk to people who are making 100,000 plus dollars a month, okay? The boutique industry is not dead, nor is it dying. I personally spent all of 2024 rebranding behind the scenes, as I mentioned. And I can tell you again that this industry is still alive and well. The truth is that it's just shifting. The truth is that most boutique owners don't see the shift. They don't know what needs to be changed or altered in their business. And as a result, they're struggling to keep up. So I want to talk about that today. Now, as for the ones who are quitting, most of them, if I'm being honest with you, lean in close. Don't, I hope I don't hurt nobody's feelings. Most of the people who were quitting or are quitting, they didn't have a brand to begin with. They didn't have a real brand. So, by the end of this episode, you'll know a few things. You're going to understand why so many boutique owners are walking away from their business and what their business was missing. You're going to know what it really means to have a brand and why most don't, in fact, have a brand, why the industry is actually becoming less saturated, not more saturated, and also how to build a brand strategy that keeps you in business while others are quitting. So, if you're serious about staying in the game and making some real money, cha-ching, cha-ching, we love our Shopify cha-chings, this episode is for you. So, let's hop into it. All right. So, first, let's be honest. The boutique industry went through a shift. We saw the massive success that so many people had during the pandemic. People were shopping online more than ever. Money was flowing, business was booming. It seemed like everything was sunshine and rainbows. But when things started to shift, a lot of people didn't know what to do next. They were operating off of trends, off of luck, no strategy whatsoever to be found. And I can honestly say that this is the case because, as you guys know, I coach boutique owners and e commerce brands. So I witnessed it. I saw it happening. Even with people joining my program, they would join because they wanted to learn how to make more money. But as I was trying to teach them real business strategy, they just wanted to learn how to make a quicker buck. And so when I'm trying to give you, long-term sustainability or sustainable strategies, they did not enjoy that. They wanted to learn how they can make the most money possible in the shortest span of time. That is not what running a business is about. So I witnessed it a lot. I witnessed a lot of people who were operating from a space of luck and no strategy whatsoever. And as a result, a lot of them are not in business today. They're quitting because they think the industry is dead. At this point, it's not as easy as it was during the pandemic. The money does not flow as heavily or as rapidly. But as I mentioned earlier, the industry is not dead. It's just weeding out the ones who didn't build a strong foundation to begin with. That's what's happening here. There are so many people who just, frankly, were not built for it. And that's okay because there's a lot of businesses in this world that I was not built to run. Okay. So I want to tell y'all something. I watch this guy, Alex Hormozy, on YouTube all the time. He has a podcast as well. I recently heard him say this quote that I want to share with you guys. He said, wealth is made during the hard times because the largest percentage of market transfers to the few left standing. I want to repeat that one more time. Wealth. So let's think about it. You want to be wealthy. I want to be wealthy. We all want this money, right? He said wealth is made during the hard times. That will be right now. Very hard. This is because the largest percentage of the market is going to transfer to the few who are left standing. Few left standing being the people who did not quit. So after I heard this, those words really kept revolving in my head. The words that really stuck with me were wealth and few. One thing I've learned in business is that many people are going to try, but only a few are going to succeed. And I'll be honest with you, I've had plenty of times in my 6+ years of being a business owner, also running multiple businesses at one time. I've had a lot of instances where I thought to myself that I wanted to quit. But something that I constantly come back to is the fact that business is not designed to be easy. It is, in fact, supposed to be hard. And in every new level, as they say, comes new devils, new struggles and frustrations. So I learned that I was willing to play the game that most people aren't, in fact, willing to play. So I think of business literally like a game. You're just playing it at the end of the day, and everybody can't win. Just like if we were playing sports, there's only one winner, right? So that's why I'm here today. I want to tell you exactly what you need to do to make sure that you are one of the few who are left standing at the end of this boutique shift that is occurring. All right. So, first things first, let's talk about the real reason boutique owners are quitting. It is so easy to claim that the market is saturated, that people aren't shopping like they used to, or they're not spending as much money as they used to. Or maybe you're telling yourself, like, it's just harder to make sales now. But the truth, in all actuality, is most boutique owners never had a real brand to begin with. If you don't have a brand, in all actuality, there's not a lot for people to hang on to. There's not a lot for people to remember you for. And ultimately, that's going to impact your revenue. You typically, or I won't say you, a lot of boutique owners have a temporary trend that they're operating within that they thought was going to last forever, or that they try to, hang on to for the longevity of the business. And all trends are going to die at some point, right? So, having a business that isn't actually a brand is kind of like your business being a temporary trend that's only as good as the next best thing. If you can't find that next best thing because you don't have a brand, because you operate from the standpoint of like always trying to do what somebody else is doing, always trying to stay on top of what's trending, it's not going to work out, friend. I'm waving my hands in the air like y'all can see me. Like, it's not going to work out, okay? So let me give you a perfect example. I want you to understand what it's like to not have a brand. So let's imagine that one of your customers gets a compliment on their outfit that day that they bought from your business. And imagine that they say to their friend, "Oh, thanks. I got it from an Instagram boutique, but I can't remember their name." That's what happens when you don't have a brand. Not only do you get classified as an Instagram boutique, but also people buy from you, but they don't remember you. They don't feel connected to your brand. And that means that they don't become repeat customers. They can't become a repeat customer because they can't even remember your name. They can't even remember where they got this really cute outfit from. So I don't want you to fall into that space. And I hope that I'm helping you to start to understand that in order for you to build a business where you make consistent sales and ultimately build a profitable business, you have to understand branding. And as you may or may not know, branding spans far beyond just logos and colors and things of that nature. So let's move on to my second point, which is what real brand strategy looks like and why it matters. So if you want to thrive in this industry, you're going to need a brand strategy. As I mentioned, brand strategy isn't just a logo and an aesthetic, some colors and some fonts and things like that. Brand strategy is really the foundation of how your business operates, basically how your customers experience your brand and what keeps them coming back. We love the products that we buy, but we ultimately keep coming back because we enjoy the overall experience. That is something that you want to know even as an online business owner. So, to give you some perspective here, inside my program, E-commerce Profit Plan, the very first module is all about brand strategy, and there's a huge reason for that. When I first started my business, had no real understanding of the difference between branding and marketing. I had a very limited understanding of what branding was. Like most people, I thought it was just logos and colors and pretty things. But I got smarter. And as I got smarter and really started to understand what brand strategy is and what it encompasses, I built a brand strategy that ultimately increased not just my sales, but my profit and increased my return customer rate. So I want to tell you a little bit about what we cover in this module, because regardless of if you are going to join my program or not, if you try to learn these things on your own, you need to know what needs to be taken into consideration as you try to build a brand strategy. Okay. So the first is that your job is to build a brand identity. A lot of people find themselves getting wrapped up in their business. And when I say find themselves, I mean like literally themselves. They are confused about the fact that, yes, this is your business, but your business is not you. Your business may be a reflection of you or certain parts of you, but everything that you do, everything that you feel, everything that you are is not, should not be synonymous with your business. Your business needs its own identity. So if people can't recognize your brand, they will not remember you. Yes, they may remember you as a person, but they need to remember the business and what you offer and what's so special about it. Another element of you building your brand strategy is your clarity around your ideal customer. A lot of people have told me, I took a class and they taught me how to create a buyer persona. And so when I have them read that buyer persona to me, I find that either two things exist. So, number one, that buyer persona has way too many details that are ultimately not usable. Like they don't know how they would use that information. It's a bunch of random made up things. Or two, the buyer persona is too vague. It's so vague that there's not enough information in it that's going to allow them to make smart decisions, to make decisions about, what products they offer, how much they're going to price them for, how they're going to showcase those products, so on and so forth. So you need what is called an ideal customer avatar. And basically, this avatar should explain in detail who your customer is, but not just a bunch of bullet points of like, she has a dog, she has a car, she lives in the city, she lives in a high rise, she works in an office. Like, those are so vague. We got to get really, really, really specific. So, if you don't know who you're selling to, you're going to be guessing about everything. You're going to be guessing about what products to stock, what your marketing should look and sound like, what your product description should say, so on and so forth. You should not be playing a guessing game. These are things that you should really try to solidify at the beginning of your business. Yes, they will evolve and change over time, but I highly recommend that you tackle this at the beginning instead of the middle or the end, right? The next thing in your brand identity is going to be brand messaging and storytelling. This is one of those big things that a lot of business owners in general, but especially boutique owners, are lacking these days. I don't want to get too much into, content and aesthetics and things like that, but a lot of boutique owners are married to a certain type of content. I always talk about the grass walls and the flower walls, or the three posts in a row that look exactly the same, or every single one of your pictures is taken in the exact same setting. So all your pictures kind of look the same. There's no identity that is happening there. There's nothing engaging or anything in particular for someone to connect to in your content, right? So you need a messaging strategy, and you also need to incorporate storytelling at this point. If people don't feel connected to your brand, they will never be loyal to it at the end of the day. It's just like any other relationship. I don't know if y'all have ever been cheated on before. I have, but that man wasn't loyal at the end of the day because he didn't feel a strong enough connection to me and maybe you. So you want to ask yourself, like, if I'm dating this person, how do I maintain the strongest possible connection with them so that they continue to be loyal to my business and they don't cheat on my business and go shopping for the same thing somewhere else, right? Next point is how to position yourself in a crowded market. So I mentioned earlier that the market is becoming less saturated, but it is still saturated at the end of the day. So you want to ask yourself, how am I positioning my brand in this crowded market? Basically, how am I making sure that my business doesn't blend in? If you blend in, you're always going to compete on price and things of that nature, and that is a losing game. You don't want to be a business where your content looks exactly the same. You have the same products as everybody else. Everything is the same. The aesthetics, the experience, so on and so forth. And the person's like, well, the only difference here is price. So whoever has the cheapest price, that's where I'm going. That is the worst type of game to play when it comes to business. And then one of the last things that is really important in building your brand strategy is how your brand affects your marketing and inventory decisions. So your brand isn't just about aesthetics at the end of the day. I know, again, The girls love to have some consistency in what their content looks like and things like that. Your branding or your brand impacts everything in your business: what you sell, how you sell it, how your content looks, your messaging, the words you choose to use. And I always say one of the most important elements of your brand strategy isn't just in deciding what you do, it's also most important in you clarifying what you don't do. Because if you leave too much room for nuance and, randomness, you're going to find yourself attracting the wrong people, selling products that you didn't really, ever intend to sell, so on and so forth. You got to be clear about what you are and also what you aren't when it comes to branding. So the boutiques that survive or that are surviving aren't just selling clothes. That's the real secret here. In 2025, or you may be listening to this beyond 2025, but in 2025, in this present moment, in order to survive on the internet as a business, especially selling clothing, you're going to have to sell an experience. The boutiques that are surviving this industry and this shift in the industry are selling an entire experience. They're selling a lifestyle, they're selling a connection. The product is just the cherry on top at the end of the day. So that is honestly what's going to make people continue to buy from your brand, continue to support it, and recommend other people to it and things like that. You have to build a brand strategy that incorporates who your customer is, that messaging, that storytelling, so on and so forth. Now, let's talk about why the industry is less saturated than ever. So, as always, I know you think that the reason that your business isn't working is because there's so many other people selling the same thing that you sell, right? Yes, but no. Because if we go back to having a brand strategy, no matter the fact that you sell what somebody else sells, your brand strategy gives them a reason to shop with you when they do, in fact, have tons of other options of where they could buy. So here's what's really happening: the ones who didn't build a brand are the ones that are quitting. Number one, the ones who never had a strategy, those are the ones that are closing down. Third, the ones who relied on quick trends are gone because them trends have died. Okay. So that means the space is actually opening up for those who actually build real businesses, that actually want to build a real business. And let me just toot my own horn for 2.5 seconds. The people who want to build a real business, who want to understand the industry, because it's one thing for you to launch a business and maybe even make some sales here and there, right? It's another thing for you to truly understand the industry that you've started that business in. And that is what's important to me, that I am educating people on how to create a business that is sustainable in this industry. So again, the market isn't dying. It's just clearing out the ones who weren't built to last. That's plain and simply what is occurring. And the ones that are going to win in this industry, those are the people who have a brand, a strategy, and a plan for long-term success. I am a big old fan, like president of the long-term success fan club. If we're not talking about longevity, I don't really want to hear about it, personally speaking. All right, so how do you build a brand that lasts? Jans, you know what? I've decided that I don't want to be an Instagram boutique. I do want to be a household name. I do want to make millions of dollars. How do I build a brand that lasts? Let's talk about it. So if you want to be one of the ones that are left standing after all this chaos dies down and the market gets out of whatever the market is doing, here's what I need you to focus on. Number one, creating that clear brand identity. You got to define not just your aesthetic, but your tones, your voice and tone, your values, and things of that nature so that people can recognize your brand instantly. You also have to make sure you understand your ideal customer. You got to stop trying to sell to everyone, stop copying what other people are selling, and focus on attracting your dream customers. Like, you should have a dream customer. Even if it's a celebrity, you should have a dream customer. If you could just place into your mind that everything that I do, everything that I say, everything that I offer needs to speak directly to that dream customer, that is going to help you to build a super duper strong brand strategy, which is ultimately going to help you to build a strong marketing strategy as well. You also will likely need to refine your brand messaging. Make sure that your website, your social media, your emails, anywhere where there are words, they all need to tell a consistent story about your brand. Remember, storytelling is a huge component of content at this point in 2025. You got to make sure that that messaging is on point. The fourth thing you want to make sure you do is position yourself in the market. Find a unique angle that makes you different from every other boutique. Yes, we all have access to the same vendors and suppliers and things of that nature. So finding that unique angle and positioning yourself in a favorable way in the industry is super duper important. And the fifth thing that I want you to focus on is building a marketing and sales system. So as a result of having or building a clear brand strategy, that's going to support your ability to build a marketing strategy, a marketing and sales system that makes sense. If you don't have a repeatable system for attracting and converting customers, at the end of the day, your sales will always be inconsistent. I cannot tell you the number of times I've worked with someone who told me, my website is great, my content is great, I'm running ads, but nothing is working. And I have to literally like take them 17 steps backward and say, let's start from the top. Brand strategy. What is this brand? Tell me about it. What do you do? And they said, well, it's a clothing boutique and we sell trendy clothes. That's not a brand strategy, my friend. I asked them, who's your customer? They can't tell me. That's a problem. So if those core things are not in place, your marketing and sales strategies will never be as effective as they could be because you're missing a very, very crucial part of your ability to build a business that makes sense. So this is exactly why I teach these things inside of my program. It's not just about marketing. It's not just about having cute pictures and photo shoots and all that and, great products. That's not what it's actually all about. It's really about building a brand that stands the test of time and that's made to last. So if you're serious about surviving and scaling, you need to start here. Brand strategy, period. All right. So let's recap this thing before we wrap this thing up. First things first, yes, we will acknowledge boutique owners are quitting because the market is not dying. They're quitting because they need a real brand. They never took the time to pause and build one. Brand strategy, you need it. It's not optional. It is the foundation of your business. It's the foundation of your success. If you want to build a successful business, you need a effective brand strategy. The market is becoming less saturated every moment of every day because only the strong brands are surviving. Plain and simply, there are a lot of businesses that are dying. Yeah, they're dying. And lastly, the key to longevity is having a brand strategy, a marketing system, and clear positioning so that you can build those consistent sales that you desire. So, as always, if you're ready to build a brand that lasts, check out my program, E-commerce Profit Plan. We would love to have you. Inside, I'll show you exactly how to build a very, very amazing brand strategy that makes your business unforgettable. That's going to help you build some customer loyalty and keep your sales consistent, even while others are quitting. Period. All right. So, next week, is this going to be a week? I don't know. Next time, we're going to talk a little bit more about branding and we'll talk about the difference between branding and marketing. So, I hope you guys are excited for the next episode. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying this little secret podcast and I will talk to you guys soon.